Hey, fifth graders. In science, we have been talking a lot about matter. And we learned that matter basically has mass and takes up space, volume. So matter has mass and volume. One way to calculate volume, we learned, was water displacement. And that's if we have something that's in a regular shape. Like if I said, what shape is this? You couldn't say, oh, that's a rectangular prism, or oh, that's a cylinder. So if you can't name that shape, it's an irregular shape, and we can use water displacement to find the volume. Now, sometimes you can name the shape. Those are regular shapes. And we learned in class that in order to find the volume of a rectangular prism, you can, instead of dumping it in the water and finding out the difference between the starting and ending point of that water level, you could just multiply the length times the width times the height in order to find the volume of it. And again, volume we learned was measured in cubic units, meaning whatever unit you're measuring in, you put a 3 after that in the exponent spot. Because if I'm taking length times width times height, yeah, I'm multiplying the numbers 3, 5, and 12. But I'm also multiplying centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, right? And we learned in math class, which I know this isn't math class, but it's really going to feel like it. Science, there's tons of math in science. But if I repeatedly multiply centimeters 3 times, I can use an exponent to tell me, oh, this means centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. And you're telling me how many little cubic centimeters there are inside the shape. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a couple examples together. And then you're going to have a sheet attached to this in your assignments for today. You'll do a versatile to find the volume of each rectangular prism. What you need right now, because you don't have this sheet, I'm just using this as a guide with some examples. I just want you to grab your whiteboard and a marker and eraser, or you can just use some scrap paper. That's fine by me, but I want you to work through a couple of these problems with me, just so that when you go to do your versatile sheet, you know what you're doing. Okay, so grab those things if you don't have them. Press pause right now, and then press play when you come back. Okay, so it says here, to find the volume of a rectangular prism, basically anything that looks like a box. A cube is also a rectangular prism. 6 faces. There we go. All right, so to find the volume of this, you multiply the length by the width times the height. And here they call the length 3, and the width 5, and the height 12. It doesn't really matter which one is which, because does the order that you multiply numbers matter? No. So if you called this 5 and this 3 and this 12, it makes no difference. Just multiply the 3 numbers that are given for a rectangular prism. All right, so to find the volume of this, we'd have to do 3 times 5 times 12. And this is where we are going to use some things that we learned in math class, right? Okay, now when I look at this, I think I would like to do 12 times 5 first. So I'm going to use my associative property and group the 5 times the 12, because I actually know that 12 times 5 is 60. If you didn't know that 12 times 5 was 60, then you could do 12 times 5, and 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So I know that this part is 60. I also have to multiply that by 3. So 60 times 3, hey, this is what we've been learning about in math class. I can multiply the 6 and the 3 to get 18, and then multiply that by the 10 and the 60. 180, and it's centimeters cubed because we didn't just multiply the numbers. We actually multiplied centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. So that's the gist of it. All right, so I'm going to kind of hone in on a couple of these, and I want you to try them on your whiteboard. Try this one first. So here's a rectangular prism. The first side length, it's 1 millimeter by 4 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So you could call it length 4, width 2, height 1. Go ahead and tell me, well, tell yourself, I guess. You can tell me when you come to class if you'd like, what the volume of this would be, showing your workout on your whiteboard. Press pause and then press play when you're ready. Okay, so for this problem right here, I would have to multiply those 3 numbers. So I would say length 4 times width 2 times 1 for the height. It doesn't matter what order you wrote those in, as long as you know you're supposed to take 4 times 2 times 1. And 4 times 2, that's 8. And 8 times 1, that's 8. So the volume of this would be 8. And then after that 8, you should always write the unit. And we're finding volume. This would be 8 millimeters, 1, 2, 3, cubed. So that would be the volume of this one. All right. So erase that. Now I would like you to try this one, letter B. Try this one. We have a length of 6, a width of 8, a height of 8. Work this one out. Press play when you're done. Okay, so to figure out the volume of this, you would have to do 6 times 8 times 8. Now, your work might look different than mine, and that's because you can multiply these numbers in any order that you want. So if you did 6 times 8 first, you would end up with the problem 48, and then we still have to multiply that by 8. So I learned how to do this week, right? Well, I didn't. You did. I learned how to do this a long time ago. 8 times 8 is 64. And 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 6 is 38. So the volume of this would be 384 meters cubed. That means if we did the water displacement thing, that it would come up. 384 is the difference. It's meters cubed because you did meters times meters times meters. So that would mean 384 little 1 meter cubes, well, I guess they'd be big 1 meter cubes, would fit inside there. All right, let's try maybe one more, and then we'll be ready. Okay, I'm going to jump down to this one right here, letter F. So erase what you had on your board, and I want you to tell me what the volume of this would be. It is a length of 2, it's a width of 2, and it's a height of 12. So go ahead, press pause, press play when you're done. All right, so we needed to multiply 12 by 2 by 2. And when I see this, I would do the 2 times 2 first, which is 4. And I know that 12 times 4 is 48, so I could go straight to 48 meters cubed. If you didn't know what 12 times 4 was, then you could write 12 times 4. And 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 1 is 4, and you get 48. If you did 12 times 2 first, you would get 24, and 24 times 2 is 48. It really does not matter what order you multiply the 3 numbers in. But please keep in mind that when you're multiplying these out, you're going to end up using that standard algorithm. You're going to end up using sometimes that multiplying by multiples of 10, those things that we've been doing in math class in order to figure out the volume. But when you're working on your versatile, every single one of the problems that's given is a rectangular prism, and you can find the volume of a rectangular prism by multiplying the length times the width times the height. Thanks for watching.